Hey guys, wanted to go ahead and do a review of the THIEAUDIO Legacy 2. I actually got this as a request to do a re-review of it, but the funny thing is, I don't think I've ever actually reviewed this before. This is actually, I think I mentioned it in passing, but I never actually did a full review on it. So yeah, this will be kind of interesting. Okay, so before I go in further, I'm going to go and put some notes on the screen. Please note that whatever is in the notes is a little bit different from what's in the video. So yeah, let's get started. Alrighty, so I wanted to go ahead and talk about the THIEAUDIO Legacy 2, and let's start talking about kind of like tuning. Like, what does it kind of sound like? So to me, it's kind of like a right in between like neutral and right in between bright. So kind of neutral bright, but leaning more neutral. But it is basically, it's got a good amount of bass. Well, let's just go right through the boxes, right? Is this a V-shaped IEM? Maybe, because it's got, but it's not exaggerated. It's not like a extreme bass and extreme treble sort of thing. It's kind of like, it's very subtle on both sides, I would say. Because it's not like a hard V. Like this is, as an example, like these IMs, like Critical Zero Red, I would say the Hyper Mark 1, these are more extreme sort of, Defiant, the Camper Silver Flash, things like this. These are more extreme V-shaped IMs. It's not in this box, right? So it's not there. Does it belong in the warm poo box? No, it's not in here. Does it belong in the neutral box? Not quite. I do feel it's a tilt brighter than what's on here. So it's not quite here, but then it also depends on everyone's notion of neutral, hence why I put neutral in quotations. But to me, like, what I think is kind of neutral is, like, as an example, I thought, like, to me, subjectively, but some people call it W-shaped, I think, like, the orchestra light sounds kind of neutral. Like, the bass is not emphasized, and the treble is not emphasized. It's just, like, same with, like, the Do New Titan S. It's kind of like, nothing's really emphasized. Studio 4 is kind of the same way. Like, nothing's emphasized. So this tilts, it's hard to tell. I can't tell whether it's tilts slightly brighter or tilts slightly warmer, but I'm tempted to say it's tilts slightly brighter. But it's close. And that's actually why somebody recommended this to me, actually, for mixing, because it is pretty close to the neutral line, but not quite there. But it's like, it's certainly less farther off than a lot of these other IMs, right? So is it an L-shaped or W-shaped box? I don't think so. I don't think it belongs here. Is it a bright, sort of, but it's warmer than a good majority of these IMs. I would say it's slightly warmer than Blessing 2, slightly warmer than Blessing 3. It's warmer than Tantrum Origin. It's warmer than some of these IMs for sure. So it's kind of in between, you know what I mean? Does it belong in the new meta box, where basically it's more like V-shaped, kind of bright slanted, beautiful vocals, IEM sort of like Kiwi or Astral, Tops Pro, although I don't actually like Tops Pro as much, but does it belong in this box? No, not really, right? So, and does it belong in the splashes of warm kind of IEM? No. So it is kind of, if I had to make a guess, it's somewhere here, somewhere between neutral and bright. So kind of neutral, brightish is my guess. Okay. All right, now let's talk about the sound. Let's talk bass. So for the bass, I'm going to give this a grade of B. It's punchy, it's pretty good, but it's not great. And that's actually kind of the general theme of this IEM. A lot of the things about this IEM is like, it's kind of, it's not great. You know what I mean? But it's not terrible. It's kind of like, well, I guess you could just call it mid, and I'll kind of keep going. But the bass here, it's punchy, it's got, but it's just not what I would consider great bass, right? The sub bass, so I won't make, to me, sounds, when I listen to most songs with some bass in the background, I'm thinking it actually sounds correct. It's not below correct, where I'm like, hey buddy, you need more sub bass, and it's not way up here where I'm like, whoa, you got gobs of sub bass in there, you got to tone that down so we get more correct. This is more correct. So again, it kind of makes sense that someone actually recommended this IM for mixing and monitoring and things like that. So on that front, I can see. So right off the bat, we're seeing the tuning is somewhat kind of neutral. The sub bass is pretty correct, and the bass is kind of like, It's pretty dang good. I would say it's a B. Okay, let's now talk female vocals. So female vocals, I would give it a grade of B. It never sounds like amazing. It's very, the word I kept saying was, it's very utilitarian. You know, the way I could explain it is like, I kind of mentioned this actually in some of my older reviews, but I think it actually is applicable now, where I say, you know, it sounds like someone singing, but it doesn't sound like, wow, that song's so good. No, it just sounds like it sounds like someone singing. And I think I know the reason why and what's wrong with this IEM. And I actually mentioned it in the notes. What I actually like is like, okay, subjectively, this is all very subjective, but what I think makes a really great IEM for vocals is generally, I would say 3 things, right? Number 1, hopefully nothing inherently wrong with it. Like, it's not super bright and tinny, it's not super grainy, it's not super, like, whatever. Like, hopefully there's nothing wrong with it, right? But the second thing is, I kind of like it when, like, they should sound like the microphone they're using. Like, I know this sounds geeky, but, like, I do microphone reviews, and I know, like, these singers, they use good microphones. And so, when I hear them singing, and especially up-to-date songs, they use good microphones. When they sing and it sounds like a bad microphone, like something's wrong with the microphone, then I'm like, yeah, that's not good, right? So everyone else aside, well, they will use different terms. They'll be like, oh, the resolution's this, or the this and this and that. To me, the way I say it is, it sounds like it's not the microphone they're using when they're singing doesn't sound good. It sounds like a cheaper microphone. And I'm going off topic, but I hope this explains something. This is the MXL 770. This is, in my opinion, I think this is a bad microphone. So this microphone sounds good when you watch videos initially. It sounds good when you first buy it, but the more and more you listen to it, everything else sounds off. Like something's not right. But you can't put your finger on what it is, but you know something is wrong. And there's a difference as to why this microphone is $70, but other microphones cost a lot more. It's kind of like, that's how the vocals sound like something is wrong. Something is off for the way it sounds. You know what I mean? And so to me, it's like it just lacks that engagement. You know what I mean? And that's the second factor. It's gotta pull you in. It's so simple, but it's so dumb, but it's so simple. Like, does it freaking sound good? Like when I listen to it, I'm like, oh, that sounds so good. That's a great song. No, the way it sounds is like, there's a person singing. That's what it sounds like. You know what I mean? It's very, very utilitarian, right? Okay, let's go male vocals.
Truth is not kind. You said neither am I.
The way it sounds is, it's slightly off. And I go in more detail in the notes about, like, there's this whole dissertation I write about the reason as to why it sounds off. And basically, I explain in the notes, but it kind of comes back to the cheap microphone methodology, where when you listen, it sounds like the person is using a slightly lesser microphone. It's not warm and full and, you know, like, because there's different routes. You can either sound more like a vintage microphone, like nice and warm and full, or you can have something that sounds more like just engaging, but has a little bit of brightness to it. But then there's the sorry, I'm just bashing on the MXL 717, but this is a $70 mic for a good reason, because it lacks a lot of things that make voices sound nice. And that's kind of what's going on with this. And yeah, so for me, I'm going to give it a grade of B-, like right between a B and a C, because it comes down to a really dumb but simple question. Does it sound good? No, it doesn't. But I can't tell you why. But I can tell you why, because I actually did some tests. What it does is, when I listen to it and I was going through what they did is, it just sounds off. Like it sounds like it's clipping. Like literally, if you wear this, and no matter what you do, I checked recordings, I checked the Zoom F6, I checked the Mo 2 M2, I checked, basically, it sounds slightly clipped, and it's only specific to this IM, and it sounds like the bass has been cranked a bit, and it just sounds a little distorted. It sounds like a cheap microphone. Like, it just doesn't sound good. You know what I mean? I know this is very subjective, and it's a different way of kind of approaching IEM reviews, but it just doesn't sound natural and full. Like, because like I said, every singer, they're using a mic. Okay, they're using a microphone, and they use good microphones usually. And the ones that are using good microphones, that should hopefully sound like a good microphone. But if the IEM makes it sound like a cheap microphone, then you're losing something because of the IEM, is kind of what I'm saying. Okay, all right. Well, next thing let's talk about is harshness. How does it deal with like basically harsh instruments that come in? So I'm going to say it does it a pretty average job, like pretty good job. It doesn't get it's not super harsh, but I wouldn't say it's a smooth criminal. It's going all right. How is the soundstage on it? It's wide. I mean, I don't know, maybe this is just dumb, but I just kind of associate kind of brighter IEMs. They always just sound wide to me. It's like simple, like wide, and warmer, darker IEMs usually sound smaller, in general. There are some exceptions, you know what I mean? Okay, next thing I want to talk about is let's talk about, I would say, sibilance.
And be found in Season 7, Episode 6 of Seinfeld.
So with sibilance, vocal sibilance, at lower regular volume, you're going to get some sibilance, even then. But then higher volume, it does get spicy. So if you have a bad recording, you will definitely know, right? So that's kind of my 2 cents regarding that. Separation on this actually was okay. It was decent, right? So overall, I would just say that this is basically, in a nutshell, it just sounds very utilitarian. It just sounds like there's a guy singing, there's a girl singing. That's what it sounds like. You know what I mean? But if I want to break it apart and tell you what's wrong with it, it's because the people in there, when they're singing, I know they use good mics, and sometimes you can hear it. You know what I mean? And when their good mics sound like shitty mics, then something's up. You know what I mean? That's what this IEM is doing. So yeah, well, you guys have a great day. Goodbye.